Hey, what's up, guy? Infinity. Now, this is Alan Bryce, the guy who publishes in the UK, The Dark Side, which is pound for pound the best horror magazine out there. This is his other magazine, which pretty much covers everything else in terms of genre, films, comics, action films, yeah, science fiction, fantasy, and everything in between. And just like that magazine, I just want to bring up the number one thing, okay, is the layouts, the format. Alan's been doing this for decades. The way both the Dark Side and Infinity are laid out, okay, the visuals, okay, the text, the interesting way things are organized. It makes or breaks a magazine. Like his competitor Scream, which is $20 in America. Uh, the damn thing is just like Fango, is laid out in a very uninteresting manner, and Alan really jams a lot of stuff in for your dollar, for your money, right? Gets all kinds of things from like covers of posters. He includes always a poster in this. I wish he would do one for the Dark Side. A lot of things like putting Tonto, the picture of Tonto in between the text and the comment between his legs, and using like vintage comic adaptation covers like the Dell stuff. They used to do a lot of adaptations. Okay, it just really, it's why Rue Morgue is still interesting to me. Why I semi enjoy Rue Morgue, because the layout is so much better. I'm just saying. I just wanted to bring that up because it's very important when it comes to magazines. So it's not just the content. Is how is it organized? How is it presented? Right? Anyway, I'll go. I'll try to cover some things. I'm gonna try to make these videos shorter, but I may have to do a two-parter. So, you got so this was interesting. Something I always learned. Of course, there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of stuff on both sides of the pond that I've seen, but there's always going to be very UK centric things that even I haven't seen. As someone who grew up with public television, watching all kinds of British stuff, and going to Forbidden Planet, the city, being able to get 2000 AD and stuff. There's still a lot of stuff that never made it over as an import. And it's interesting here. This is there's a DC Thompson comics publisher, and this was a short-lived 2-year anthology, I guess, for young boys, before they started getting into other things, called Buddy. Hey, Buddy. Oh, what's that? A pistol? You got a license for that, mate? So now it's interesting how they call it, right? The great new picture story paper for boys. Picture stories in papers. Then they don't say comics. That's very interesting. For 12p. Look at that. Back in 1981. And I don't know. It's kind of, first of all, like the diversity of these stories, right? You got a lot of interesting. You got a lot of footballers stuff. The kid, just they love this stuff over there. The Wolf of Kabul. You have a agent for the Crown during the Great Game in Afghanistan. You got a nerdy dude who's like kind of whack, like a superhero. But I just want to say too, like real quick, the British artists. Of course, you think of the British guys that came over from Fleetway in 2000 AD, making a big impact in America in the 80s. But a lot of the art, the British art, is very underrated. Okay, when you look at this style, it's a very ink-heavy style. It's meant to be in black and white. Okay, it's weekly, right? Just like manga, right? In Japan. I thought that was interesting. When they do have colors, they usually just add like red here or a tone, shades of red, whatever. Very solid. I always think of like David Lloyd as an example of very British style. Okay, very ink heavy. Almost somewhat similar or parallel to like the Filipinos and the Spanish artists. Of course, a lot of Spanish artists did work, and the Italians as well. On both in England and in the continent. So I just want to give a lot of credit to the unsung British style of comic art. Okay, and you had other stories here. The Iron Fish. You had this kid with the special submarine. Right? You had what is it? Run boy on the run. Oh boy, he's running from the feds. Always running for something worse. I had Hammer. You had a boy prince, right? Obviously an Anglo-Saxon. Vows vengeance on the Vikings. And look at this art style. This is very It almost reminds me of like the old pen and ink drawings from earlier in the century. Look at the detail, man. So you got Tuffy. You got this homeless kid with girly like hair becoming a footballer, right? And you got Tom. What is that? Angus Young. Tom Smith School Days. So you got like a working class kid going to a public school in England, which in England the public schools is the reverse here. The public schools are like where the fancy people go. Of course, and he has to deal with bullying and fagging, whatever fagging is. I don't know what fagging is. And they're always big on the Christmas specials in England. Merry Christmas from all your pals and buddies. Look at that. Hey. So, also they had, and comics are very underrated for this, especially the older comics going back, whether they're American, Japanese, European, what have you, British. They always would have like these things, educational things, little bios or schematics or something. And it used to be an educational thing to the comics as well. As a kid, that's how I learned my vocabulary. I would see a word I didn't recognize and ask my mother what it meant. As in comics is educational, or comics is propaganda. Right? Well, it's always funny how the last 2 decades or more, the propaganda, it didn't really work too well. It alienated the majority of the American comic and Canadian comic reading audience, who are mostly liberal, left of center white men, right? And for sales to go down, it's just interesting. It didn't even work as propaganda. Okay, the people it was made for never bought it. But enough of that. You got other stuff too. You got Starhawk. You had Raw the Warrior, which is a post-apocalyptic thing. Look at that. You had a Frontline UK. You had like some kind of war in the UK. Look at this. Never happened. But really, this was worth the price alone to learn about this interesting, short-lived comic anthology for the lads. So very interesting. Tanya Roberts. She passed away a couple of years ago. This is interesting. I never even heard of this show. I don't know if it's a British show or an American show. Garrison's Gorillas. Right. It's interesting. This is not TV Guide. Right. This is Dell Comics. Right. Now we'll finish up this vid with Hawk the Slayer. I never heard of this, man. Growing up, I never heard of this movie. I don't think I ever saw it on VHS, like the box when you used to go to the video store. But apparently this is getting a big cult revival. Like a lot of people are digging this film. And you look at it, okay, well, it's obvious. This film, right, reminds me a little of Krull, right? Obviously this film was made, when you had the Sword and Sorcery craze that Conan, the film, started in the early 80s. You figure that. Problem is, this thing came out a year before that, 1980. Okay? So reading about it, it's like Jack Palance. What a psycho. So in a good way, I mean. He didn't do nothing wrong, but I'm just saying he was a very, very interesting guy. And Catriona McCall, I love her, man. The Lucio Fulci's damsel in distress. And also Lady Oscar from the Rose of Versailles film is in this. So I definitely got to watch this. Patrick McGee's in this. Right. Now, you look at it, you go, okay, well, wow, so where did this come from? Well, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it wasn't influenced by these fantasy films that came out, like, the friggin' Beastmaster, Sword and the Sorcerer. But you look at it, it's obviously very influenced by Dungeons and Dragons. Okay? It's also very influenced by Star Wars, right? Which of course is influenced by the Magnificent Seven, which is influenced by Seven Samurai, which is influenced by the ancient Seven of Thebes. Anyway, and also a more recent thing. You got an elf here. You got an elf shooting bows. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is right there. So Lord of the Rings was an influence on Star Wars too. So it's not inconceivable that a film like this would have been made. Okay. And look at the set design, and look at this. I mean, this is Lord of the Rings. I mean, come on, bro. Look at that. So really impressive, man. Really impressive. And also like Hawk the Slayer. I always wondered if the band Slayer was influenced to get the name. I know the original name was Demon Slayer, but Hawk the Slayer. It just sounds cool. And apparently the actor, is actually an American. It's interesting. I want to definitely check this out. And I'll round it out with this one. I'm going to do another vid because I don't want to make these things too long. So some science fiction writer, basically more of a Original stuff was more of like mysteries with science fiction elements. Of course, this is an early Hammer science fiction film which I never saw. Spaceways. Ava Bartok. Oh, interesting looking woman. But yeah, it was based on this book here. But he did a bunch of these. Right? Remember they used to have the cool like some of the stuff from the 50s and the early 60s. They had some crazy abstract art on the covers. But now, the Isotope Man. What is this? The Atomic Man. I guess that's the movie based on it. The Electronic Monster. And they made a movie of it with Terrence Stamp, the great Terrence Stamp. Beast. It almost seems like Philip K. Dick almost. But anyway, interesting. The Amicus. Oh, the Terranauts. You know what? If they ever do a feature on the Terranauts, I'm gonna be on it. The Terranauts was such a friggin' amazing sci-fi epic film done by Amicus for not a lot of money that never gets mentioned. Anyway, all right. So we're gonna do another vid. So yeah, Alan, man, top notch, man. His stuff is so far ahead of most other things, other than like the scary monsters, Castle of Frankenstein out there. It's not even funny.